It's week 3 in college football. It's a Thursday afternoon right now, and as always, we are going to get behind-the-scenes awesome information from Brent, the headlines manager at DSI Sportsbook, in this weekly show Into the Weekend with BetDSI. I'm Peter Loshak. You're watching SBR Videos. Brent from BetDSI, thanks so much for being with us. I have to start things off by asking you about Ole Miss and Alabama, right? Now, we know the public loves to bet Alabama. In years past, we've done, on this show, Alabama minus 23.5 on the road at Tennessee, minus 31 at home against Missouri, whatever. The public will bite on it. Here, they're just like a 7-point favorite at home against Mississippi. I'm assuming the public is betting Alabama here, right?
It's actually decent two-way action on this one. We've got, our count does favor Alabama for sure. Only about 2-1, which is not a huge chart. Our money also does favor Mississippi on this one. So the line's down at 6.5 right now. When the numbers came out, kind of like the first bites at the prices were Mississippi, like on plus 7.5 is kind of like where the respectable money came in. We're down at 6.5 right now, where basically everyone else is coming in. So right now, in terms of the money, we're slightly favoring Mississippi in terms of how much dollars we've taken. The number of bets, though, is about 2-1 in favor of Alabama. So I would expect that trend to continue. I could see this game going back up to 7. I don't know if the sharps will take the plus 7. They like I said, some respectable guys did take it when it was 7.5. Not someone I'm going to call sharp yet. There hasn't been any sharp money the other way with Alabama, but just public money that way. So I would definitely, if there's one way to go, if the number goes up to 7.5, you're going to see the sharps come in on Mississippi, where it sits at 6.5. I don't think you're going to see sharps involved, Peter.
And then Stanford USC goes this week. Always an interesting game, and usually we hear from you, Brent, that the sharps took the underdog in this matchup, and usually it's Stanford. We know that the sharps have loved to bet Stanford in recent years when they've been an underdog in promising spots. Here it's a big line considering the history of this series. The line has even crept up since opening. So I'm guessing that the public is what's driven that line movement. The public has been betting USC.
Yeah, you basically don't need me here for this one, Peter. Go ahead, keep going. Yeah, it's all public all over USC as well. That's basically why the number's still where it is at right 10. I did see some. This is what you're going to call a sharp public split, because the sharp money did come in on Stanford when it was plus 10 minus 05. Okay. Now it's plus 10 flat right now. It could be people for waiting to see if the line's going to creep up again, because it's definitely one-sided action on USC. Now, in terms of this game, you're talking about a 5-6-1 count in terms of the number of wagers we've taken on USC, which is indicative of the public being all over USC. It's a case where also we have more money on Stanford, which is a case of where the sharps are betting Stanford. So Stanford is definitely a sharp side. Again, it was plus 10 minus 05 where they jumped on that, and nothing but public money on USC. And about 2-1 on the over as well, which can be expected. You would expect the public to be betting USC minus the 10 and then the over as well, when we've kind of seen that. Not a whole lot of sharp money involved in the total, but again, about 2-1 on the over. As you mentioned, just a ton of money on USC at home minus 10. And again, it's typical of what you see in this kind of type of game.
Standard profile for the Stanford USC game that we've seen in years past. And then I have to ask you about Georgia Tech, Notre Dame. We know all the issues that Notre Dame has been having on the injury front. And, all over the media, Georgia Tech's a small road favorite. Every preview of this game that you read on the internet, on TV, and that you see on TV, likes Georgia Tech here to get a pretty comfortable win. Has the public been pounding Georgia Tech here?
I think someone, and I can't remember who it was exactly, said there was a definite sharp public split last week when Notre Dame went to Virginia. I think that person was saying that the sharps were all over Virginia plus 11.5 at the time, and the line kind of stayed where it was because the public was so overwhelming on Notre Dame.
No, that was a classic money-making piece of
the show.
That was a classic, implied value line analysis from Brent. That's why we do this call. And Notre Dame games tend to be games where either betting on them or against them is a clear, smart thing to do. And here in this, it seems like the same situation. It seems like either the sharps are going to be all over Georgia Tech or maybe see an overreaction and bet Notre Dame. But I'm assuming the public's on Georgia Tech, right?
Yeah, the public's one way. Again, this count is about 3-1 in terms of the number of wagers we've taken. The money's pretty much dead even. The only, what I'm going to say, respectable money that I did see on this game on the side was Notre Dame plus the 2.5. Now, it's not a huge sharp. It's not a guy who's going to move the number on his own, but he's a guy where you kind of look at his bet and say, maybe that's the right side. Notre Dame at home plus 2.5 as the dog. This game, as you would expect, has been just a huge game in terms of volume for us. It's going to be probably one of the most heavily bet games of the week for sure. Again, as I mentioned, about 3-1, maybe just a little slightly higher in favor of Georgia Tech in terms of the number of wagers we've taken. The money's pretty much dead even. I got respectable money on the total as well. Unfortunately, it's not going to really tip a hand here, but the over 54 was some really respectable money. Then line got driven all the way up to 57, where we finally got some under money as well. So we're sitting at 55.5, which kind of splits the difference between those two guys. So the over 54 was respectable, the under 57 was respectable again. But again, there's not what I'm going to say a real definite side in terms of the sharps where they're going. But I would say Notre Dame is probably the way it's going to go if I said, judging by the early action, public all one way. And again, if that line gets turned up to 3, they're going to take Notre Dame.
And that, again, that's just as of Thursday afternoon. There could easily be major sharp action on this game on game day, right?
Yeah, I mean, we were talking off air about the Washington State game last week. That was a case where I think, early in the week I had sharp money on both sides of that game. It was about the number between 3 and 4. The number during the week got driven all the way up to 5.5, and the sharps just pounded the heck out of Washington State. So you're going to see stuff like that happen on Saturdays all the time. Again, this is a case where people could be sitting and wait to see if this line goes up to 3, and I'd be surprised if it does. And if it does, I think you're going to see the Sharps jump on Notre Dame as a home dog.
Well, a lot of great games this week. LSU, Auburn, BYU, UCLA. The truth is I wish I could just do this show and ask about every single game on the card. What can you tell us about notable sharp or public action that you've taken from the rest of college football week 3?
We'll start off with NC State. They're at Old Dominion. Line's up to 18 right now. That line's at 18 where it is because it got driven up with sharp bets on NC State minus 16 and minus 17. So NC State's a definite sharp side there. I would say the over in this game is a case as well. Over 58 is where the first sharp action came in, and over 59 as well. 10 at 59.5, it kind of got some sniffs back on the under. So 58 and 59 on the over would definitely be sharps there. Game right below that is Tulsa at Oklahoma. I had a couple different sharps on Tulsa plus 32.5. Line dropped straight down to 31.5. They took that as well. We're sitting at 30.5 right now. This is a case where actually my money's pretty much dead even. My count slightly favors Oklahoma. It's not a definite sharp public split. The line dropped it opened up all the way down to 29.5, I think it was, and then got driven up by the public. But the sharps definitely took the Tulsa plus 32.5 and 31.5. Those were sharp plays there. Auburn is at LSU. That's a sharp play with Auburn plus 7.5. We're down to 7 right now. Money slightly favors Auburn, count slightly favors LSU, but Auburn plus 7.5 was a definite sharp play. I have a totals play on Virginia Tech and Purdue. The over there was sharp, the over 47. We're sitting at 48.5 right now. Texas San Antonio at Oklahoma State, another total on the under there. Under 56 was sharp. We're down to 55 right now. That's a definite sharp play there as well. And another total we're looking at is Southern Miss at Texas State. The under 68.5 was sharp. We're down to 67 right now. I think that number is probably going to stay where it is just because I got a lot of public money betting the over in that game there. And let me go. We talked down to New Mexico State, and UTEP is another one. I've got sharp money on the home dog, New Mexico State. They took New Mexico State plus 3.5 minus 15. Plus 3 minus 0.5, and we're sitting at the favorite UTEP is minus 3 minus 0.5 now. So that's been a pretty much one-sided bet game there in terms of the sharp money on New Mexico State. But I do have a lot of public money betting UTEP for some reason. And last one we touched on was Stanford plus the 10 minus 0.5. That was definitely sharp, and that about covers it, Peter.
Awesome information as always, Brent. I knew you were going to say something about Auburn attracting sharp action. Brent from BetDSI, thanks so much, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow for NFL Week 2.